Houston. Say again, please.
Houston, we've had a problem.
Hey there folks, welcome you all to yet another vlog of mine. Another Friday has caught us up, people, and there's only one thing to say on Fridays. We all know this. Flagons up to you all. I know it's half empty, people. It took me that long to suss out what I was going to talk about today. It was a weird one today because I spent the whole day thinking I've not got anything to talk about, and now that I've come to record, I've actually got loads to talk about because things kind of fell off the tail end of a poll that I just did, and there was other games that I've had question marks about for ages, so I want to talk about those. And, you know, I finally sat down and played a game for the first time in about 3 weeks, about 2.5, 3 weeks. I haven't touched the game at all. I think I mentioned it last week. I hadn't been gaming at all. And I finally sat down and played something for a little bit, off camera, but, you know, got my groove back on with a bit of gaming, people. So there you are. So we've got plenty to talk about in the world of games today. Flags, I'm going to have another sip of it now. Flag, you know I would buy you one, people. You know I would. If you were here, I would buy you a drink. Every one of you would get a glass of water. You'd all get a drink, people. Before we get going, absolutely gorgeous, people. Right, let's crack straight in, shall we? So I have on my iPad jotted down all the things I want to talk about. So firstly, let's crack into the poll that went up this week. And I think you might have got a bit of spit in HD there, people. I do apologise. The poll that went up was, what are you... Well, there's games dropping relatively soon. Which of these games are you most excited about? And there was about 25 votes or so, which is pretty decent for my channel. And there was Destiny, Shadowkeep, Gears 5, Control, Borderlands 3 and Astral Chain. And there was actually a horror one as well, which I'm now forgetting the name of, but I could only put 5 options in, so I wanted to put a Nintendo option in there. And Astral Chain is quite a big game, so, you know, that was thrown in for good measure. Anyway, the results were, out of the 25 votes, there was 12% on Destiny Shadowkeep, 12% on Gears 5, so tied there, Control on 8%, Astral Chain on 8%, tied with Control, and with a whopping 58% was Borderlands 3. So Borderlands 3 is by far, for the people that voted, the one that they're most excited about. That isn't what I'm most excited about. I can't vote on my own poll, sadly. It would be nice to vote on my own poll. I'd like to let you know, at least put my vote into the mix. But, I mean, I think out of that lot, I'm probably most excited about Gears and Destiny. Although I'm going to talk about Control. However, there was a game that fell out the arse of this thing, people, for want of a better phrase, because in the comments a few people had mentioned a game called Greedfall, which I'd never heard of in my life. People, we're supposed to be a community. You're supposed to be telling me all about these things. I never heard of the damn thing, people. Anyway, there is a game called Greedfall coming out. And you know what? I didn't actually look at what the release date was. But never mind. I'm sure it might... I am going to have... I've already downloaded footage of Greedfall and a few other things that I will be talking about. And so we'll talk about Greedfall first, because it came completely out of the blue. Where you guys mentioned it, I was like, what the hell is that? I've not even heard of it. Anyway, after looking at footages and such likes before recording this, I'm actually quite stoked for it, because it came up and it said Focus Entertainment are proud to introduce, and I was like, because Focus have been an okay company for me as far as RPGs go. They have provided some good RPGs, but nothing that I would have said was just, amazing or outstanding or kind of broke the mold in any kind of way as such. But looking at the footage, which will be up behind me now, I'm actually quite stoked for it, because the one thing that's always going to kind of the big thing that's going to question mark you is, what is the gameplay like? Especially with this is an RP, right? This is an RPG game, right? It looks very piratey. It looks like you're on an island of some description. You've got vegetation areas. You've got buildings. It looks really... because another thing with Focus Entertainment was they have kind of avoided a little bit the massive open world type stuff. They I'm trying to think of an example, but they kind of make you feel like you're outside, but you're not really. It's almost like you are in a dungeon, but you know. But in this particular case, it was like massive vegetation. You're clearly outside. You're clearly on an island, and as the more you watch it, this particular clip that I'll have up behind me, there is also you're playing as a party of people. There's 3 people in your party, and as they were talking about the game, that particular clip actually has them talking over it and explaining what's going on. But they were saying that each party member that you pick for your squad has their own wants and desires and things that they want to achieve and accomplish. It's going to be very difficult to keep them all happy. There'll be effects and things that will happen if you don't keep them happy. So there's all sorts of, you know, they look like they've put a lot of the Dragon Age type things in there. So you've got consequences. And I mean, the big thing, though, that I was trying to get at earlier is that the biggest thing is going to be the battle mechanics, because it's always going to come down to that. If it's fun with the battle mechanics, and if there's a good loot system, and if there's a good level up system, and a good skill tree, and all of those things from that clip that's behind me, all of those things are encompassed within it. And I was really impressed, especially when I was looking at the fighting style. It was fast. It was fast and pretty furious. Like, you were shifting. It reminded me a little. Well, don't. I'm not telling you this is Bloodborne, but it reminded me when the guy dodged to the side and fired and stuff. It reminded me of that speed of movement when you were in battle. So it'll be interesting to see just how you're jumping between characters, if you can, or whether you need to pick a character to play. I assume you'll be able to manipulate characters, any of the 3 characters that are in your party, through the battle. And I'm not 100% sure if this is a game that someone else can join in with you as a co-op game. But I'd be surprised. It did seem to suggest that it was a single-player campaign and you get to pick these characters out. So, but I was really, really impressed with this trailer. I mean, I've only just looked at it about half an hour before recording this, because it had stuck in my mind from people mentioning it in the comments of the poll that we did. So I'm really, really stoked for that now. So from what people were mentioning it from the poll, so I suspect it's out pretty soon. And I'm going to tell you what, hang on. Should we do it live on air, people? Should we try and Google live on air and keep it interesting? Without me, you know how other YouTubers do that thing where it suddenly goes and you can quite clearly tell that they've cut the video. Let's not do that, people. Let's do it live. Greedfall. Release date. What are we going to get? September 2019, apparently. So... Oh, it just says September 2019. It doesn't seem to... So there you are. So it is out in September. I will try to be more specific, but... Oh, 15th. It looks like it's the 15th of September, people. So there you are. See? We can keep it interesting, do things on the fly, people. We don't have to have any of this cutting malarkey in my videos, people. You know, you don't even get a cut when I have a drink. Because you'll love watching someone else have a drink. So I'm honestly, like, I'm proper stoked for that game now. I mean, hopefully we'll get to see a little bit more of it as we run up to it. I picked a pretty good trailer there. It did show off quite a lot. So hopefully for those people that didn't know anything about it, Greedfall, brand new RPG from Focus Entertainment, coming out in September. Absolutely one to watch out for. There's certainly that there is not a huge amount on the radar of RPGs at the minute, so I think they've landed this game at a really good time. I think the only other thing that I can think of that came out recently was a game called Outward, it was called, or something, and it just looked like a bore. I mean, I'm sure it's a great game. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to hammer a game that's probably quite good or something, but the more I watched footage of that game, it was like, that is, for me, in my directional capability, that was just a game where I was going to be wandering aimlessly. No idea where I am and getting really bored really quickly. Far too realistic. So I'm sure it's great, but not for me. And it's the only other one I've seen of any great magnitude coming out of the woodwork. So I'm really delighted to see that. So thank you to the people that mentioned it in the comments of the poll. Keep those sort of comments coming. If I don't mention games, like, let me know. Let me, we're here for communication, people. I created this channel, I keep saying it, to communicate with you all. So let me know in the comments of any video below what you're excited for, things I haven't mentioned, like, Steve, why are you not looking at this? Why are you not mentioning that? And that's exactly why, because it might have slipped me by. It happens all the time. It happened with Path of Exile. I didn't even know it existed, and it was out on all platforms. So there you are. Well stoked for Greedfall, people. Thank you for letting me know. I think that was all I was going to mention about it. Battle mechanics. It looked really slick. Very piratey looking game. RPG on an island looks like. So, yeah. We have covered everything, people. Right. So, what should we talk about next? I think that out of the we'll go on to Control, because Control was in the poll as well. Now, before I made this video, it was another reason for making this video, was because I wanted to talk about Control. And the reason I wanted to talk about it was because I am one of the biggest fans of Alan Wake there has ever been. I love that game to death. And I was delighted when it went on to back compat. I'm kind of a little bit disappointed that I achieved so many of the trophies already, because I wanted an excuse to play it. I mean, if there's ever a game that I wouldn't mind remastered, it's probably Alan Wake, because I could get the trophies again and I could, but I don't think we'll ever see that happen. What we might see happen at some point in the future is Alan Wake 2. And I saw an interview with Sam Lake, is it? I think his name is, the guy who's head of Remedy, and he said that absolutely he still wants to do it. It's just a matter of timing, and it is a matter of, he's already in his head got what he thinks the story might be. It's just that the way that it works in the gaming world, you have to have enough interest from enough parties to make it viable as a company to make the game. So I think he's just waiting for an opportunity to do it that is right, and a time to do it that's right. And a lot of the games that have kind of spun out of not being able to do Alan Wake have been given some of the ideas that he had for Alan Wake. So, and you can see that. You can see that from Quantum Break, and you can see it from Control, which is what we're looking at now, and this is why I'm talking about Alan Wake, because it's the same company, and, I adore it. Quantum Break was it was a really, really fun game to play, but it just had all of this... For those who don't know what they did with Quantum Break, you basically played some game, and then you got a TV episode, effectively, with actors and everything, acting stuff out. Then it went back to game, then it went back to TV episode. It was just like, what is going on? And the problem is, if you skip all the TV stuff, you're missing half the story. So it didn't work. It was too choppy as far as that went, and that's what put me off finishing it. I've never finished it. I got quite far through it, but I never finished it. There's a statement you don't hear me say often, people. But with Control, none of that's going on. However, I was watching. It was somebody who'd got access to gameplay, and they played about 15-20 minutes or something. I was sitting watching it, and I thought, I'm not sure about this at all. I mean, the gameplay mechanics look fine. It's just that it just looked really levelly. And when I say levelly, what I mean by that is that, I've said this before in my videos, if I'm playing a story game like that, and I feel like I'm playing a level to get to the next level, it's not working. Like, I don't want to feel like I'm playing levels. I want to feel like I'm flowing through a world or an environment. I don't want to feel like I'm playing levels. If it feels like I'm playing levels, I'm done. Like, I won't. It just bugs the shit out of me. It really, really, really just bugs me. And that, it's just a personal thing. There's nothing wrong with it as such. But it just, when I was looking at the footage, it just looks really, really levelly. Again, there will be footage behind me which has completely changed my mind a little bit. Because I found this footage, which is another one where they're talking over it, but you won't hear it. And it shows off the vast differences in the environment, because the other problem I have with it is that it seems to be all set in this one building, which is the Federal Bureau of Control building, and that concerned me, because it's like, well, the environments aren't going to be interesting enough, and all you're doing inside these rooms, from what I had seen, was it was almost like a third person platformer. It was like, jump onto that brick to get up to that brick, to move that with your hand, and so you have all these special abilities and powers, which are really cool. There's all the slow-mo stuff going on that you'd expect. And, after watching that footage, I was like, ooh, that looks really levelly, that. However, the footage behind me that you've been watching while I've been gabbing away changed my mind completely, because some of the environments you go into in this building are clearly a bit, I don't know, TARDIS-y maybe. Because you're walking into a room and it looks like there's bloody vegetation and everything. It looks like there's a completely different... You don't feel like you're in a building. So, and a lot of the action that was going on looked really slick. The gun that she's using is apparently awesome and has all these different features and stuff on it. So after watching that and what you're seeing, I've completely changed my mind about Control. And it might well be a third-person game that I want to get my teeth into as quickly as I can. So I'm going to kind of wait nearer to the time and maybe wait for the reviews to come out and see what they say. No, I don't base my purchasing on reviews as such, but you can get a taste of like, well, maybe I should buy it when it's half price, or if it's amazing, then just get it, That's basically my decision-making process, especially when I'm not going to be playing it on the channel. This is an RPG channel, people. I'm not going to be, I'm not going to be spending a lot of time playing other stuff. I might put a few episodes up like I do with Spider-Man and Alan Wake and all that sort of stuff, but in the main part, I wouldn't do any sort of Let's Play type stuff on a game like that. So, if I force myself into buying something at launch, it's usually because it's an RPG and I want to spend some time showing you guys that game in a Let's Play. But anyway, I'm uber stoked for it now. After watching that particular bit of footage, because it looks like it has got a lot of variety, a lot of depth. The battle mechanics look like they're really well thought out. The power she's got look like that. I mean, don't get me wrong, this does look like a progression from Quantum Break, and that's not a bad thing when it comes to the mechanics. So, absolutely push all that into into Control. But the weapon looks outstanding. She's got her own personalised control weapon, which is pistol. Looks really cool. So I'm really, really stoked for that game now. So if you haven't got that on your radar, I know a lot of you are RPG players on this particular channel, but if you are a person who plays a variety of games like me and you haven't had that on your radar, go and check out some more footage of it and get a feel for it. I'm a big fan for supporting Remedy. They're a company that I've done a lot of work with. Alan Wake and Quantum Break were both exclusive to Microsoft. So they've been tied to Microsoft for a long time. They weren't a Microsoft company. They just decided that they were going to be exclusive. This game is on both platforms. And probably, I think it might be PC as well. So they've broken away to, and I think that might be what makes this game a success, as long as it's good, because they're going to be across all platforms. It will bring Remedy back to the forefront of people's minds that don't play on the Xbox. So yeah, I'm really stoked for them. I hope it does really well. I always want Remedy to do well, because I hope by them doing well that they will eventually get to make Alan Wake 2. But for those that don't know, they were the company that made the very first Max Payne game. And the second one, I think. Not the third one, though, because they handed it over to Rockstar, was it? Something like that. Anyway. So shall we move on, people? On to the next part. So, I ended up back on... I tell you what, before we talk about this, there is another game that looks like it's on the horizon, and it looks like there's another Resident Evil game not far away from being announced at some point. And this came about because there was some request from them, Capcom, to have people come to a location and test a Resident Evil game. So it's starting to sniff a little bit like there's another Resi game coming. Now, whether that's a Resi game that is like Resi 7 or whether it's a game that's like the Resi 2 remaster, my personal preference to that is I would prefer it to be in the format of Resi 2 Remaster. That's an absolute class game, and I apologise I've not finished that game, actually, because I don't think I was too far away from completing it as a Let's Play, so I could still get back to it. But yeah, it's a delightful game, that. Absolutely gorgeous, plays beautifully, 60 frames per second, looks amazing. I mean, that wasn't a remaster, it was a remake, so, I mean, we can only hope that it's a brand new game. If it's not, I'd absolutely take a Resi game remade like they did the second one. I mean, I would take Veronica X remade, hands down. I loved that game, but I don't know if there was enough content there to judge. Yeah, I think there was. I mean, I think that game was. I mean, I loved that game. I don't know how popular it was across the board, but I absolutely adored that game. I thought it was really good. Anywho, that looks like it is on the horizon, so we'll see what happens in the coming months. I suspect if the demo and stuff goes well, it's not a demo, I think it's a testing thing. I think it's to get feedback from people. And, I think games companies do this from time to time just to make sure they're on the right track. Nothing wrong with that. But they'll have to sign secrecy clauses and stuff as they go in, So I suspect that when we do hear something proper, it'll be from Capcom themselves. Right, let us move on to my final piece of rambling, shall we? Right, yeah, so that's it for as far as things that I want to talk about in the outer world. What I do want to talk about, and interestingly enough, I had to download one of my own videos in order to give you some footage that I'll put behind me shortly. I'm going to have another sip. I'm very thirsty tonight, people. I finally got back to playing a game yesterday, and I say back to playing. I got back to playing a game and restarting a game that I've been playing on the channel. And the reason it came about was because my son had finished... What did he finish now? No, big Nintendo game anyway. And he was looking for something to do, and he'd bought Dark Souls for the Switch at some point, and it was just lying there. And he was like, I'll just have a quick go at Dark Souls. And he got proper sucked into it. And he kept texting me going, I'm at this bit, I'm at that bit. And every time he texted me, I was like, I really fancy playing that again. So yesterday, I finally just sat down and I shoved the disc in. Now, I've still got the character at the exact same location where the remaster playthrough was happening. So I've still got that if I want to carry it on. I had a sub-character, I don't know why, as well. But I decided to leave both of those alone, and I'd created a brand new character, started the whole thing from scratch and just cracked straight into it. And I tell you, it was a bit of a delight, really. It was nice to just sit and enjoy it for what it is. But it's amazing, like... When you've played that game several times, it's just amazing how quickly you get through the first stages of that game. I remember when I first played it, it took me bloody hours and days to get to get somewhere on it. And it's almost like once you kind of get what's going on in a Dark Souls game, you can... Yeah. It's not knowing the game as such, because I think if I sat down and played Dark Souls 2 or Dark Souls 3, which I have done, but I think if I'd played either of those now, I'd have the same thing. Not that I'm remembering any... I remember a lot about Dark Souls 1, but if I went back to Dark Souls 2 and 3, I probably wouldn't remember half. Certainly 3, I wouldn't remember any of it, really. So, but I think in knowing the mechanics of Dark Souls and knowing how it works, I think you're immediately on a plus, because you're not going to struggle in the way that you do. But the first time you've ever played a Dark Souls game, and that's why people who watch YouTube love seeing someone that's never played it before suddenly have a go at it, much like I did on my channel. And it's just really... It's so interesting, the rage that comes with first playing it, and then you still get that rage later, don't get me wrong. I mean, for me, no boss is an easy boss as such, but it just surprises me how quickly I get. I mean, it must have taken me an hour to get all the way to the blacksmith. It wasn't a long... Well, that's a bit of a cop-out. It's probably 2 hours. But that was only because I was adamant that I wanted to get the claymore. And I kept fecking up when I went on to... There's another thing I'm going to talk about, because it looks like it's been patched quite heavily since I played it. I could be wrong, but it's certainly... there's certain things not happening that used to happen. And so I spent quite a long time trying to get the claymore, because the claymore was my go-to weapon. I actually started, I started this time as a pyromancer so that I got my flame on straight away. And you get every piece of what... You can't put the flame on straight away, because you have to pick up the glove at some point. I think it's at the top area of the asylum. If you finally get the glove, and then you can... So I did it for that, and it gives you quite good strength, and... that helps me get the claymore. The claymore needs 16 strength to put that on. And I think the dexterity is 10. So you need 16 strength and 10 dexterity, I think, to wield the claymore in one hand. So, I go in with that plan. But having the flame right from the beginning is really, really handy, because you can take certain enemies out for just, you can wait for the really annoying ones and just, splatter them with it. And things like the armoured pig, when you get up to the... Where is that? That's after the bridge, isn't it? Yeah, because if you go under the bridge, under the dragon, which is the bit I'm about to talk about, you end up at the big pig in the, or the boar in the metal suit, and if you try and kill that with a weapon, it take you forever. But if you've got fire, then you can any fire that hits the armor just scorches the pig. It's like, you know, cooking pork. As it happens, I fired at it from the stairs. I got it to run over to the stairs. I was bombing it. It ran back up, and then I got it to run down again, and it accidentally ran into the fire. There's a bonfire next to the stairs. It ran into that and killed itself. So if you're looking for an easy way around the pig, there you go. But that isn't a boss, and it comes back every time you go to a bonfire, I think. But anyway, the patches, I think that game's been patched. And I'll tell you for why. There's certain enemies that you don't seem to be able to get behind as easily as you used to. And, you know, when you circle around them, they are moving back more than they used to and turning at the same pace that you are. And I'm sure they've smoothed that over. I'm sure that they've fixed a couple of things with the few bosses that I've seen. I beat, you know, funnily enough, the remastered Let's Play that I did, I think I beat the first boss first time. What's he called? The guy that you meet on the bridge to get over to where the dragon is. I think I struggled with that on my Let's Play for some reason. I beat him first time in this one. And have I fought anyone else yet? No, I haven't. I don't think I've fought another boss yet, because I'm at a point where I can either go into the... I finally made it to the blacksmith. And anyway, let me talk about the bit that I thought made me think it was patched. And again, this is where I had to download my own video. So to get the claymore, you basically, when you walk up onto the bridge where the dragon perches itself, you used to be able to walk up the little steps. Where the bridge is, you've got a set of stairs on one side, and you come up there. Well, actually, you come from the top of the bridge and you run down and you can go into those stairs. So you come from the top. Now, when you came, as I remember it, when you first started coming down there, the dragon would eventually start coming and breathing fire, and you had to get down those stairs as quickly as you could. He didn't do that on this Let's Play at all. And it doesn't matter how many times I went onto that bridge, he does not fly onto it. And that's where you go down those steps and you can go to where the pig is and all that. But what you used to do was, you used to come up those stairs, run over to the other side where there's another inset bit on the bridge where you can hide behind this tiny little wall. And you would just sort of jiggle about a bit in there, or keep bobbing your head out on the bridge. And eventually the dragon would fly down and kill all of the enemies that were sitting on the bridge. And one of those enemies drops the claymore. So I did exactly that, and I kept doing it, and I kept trying it, and that dragon just won't come down. He is perched on that bridge, and he will not move. And the only time he will move is if I try and leg it, because he's actually perched above a bonfire. And if I try and leg it to that bonfire, when I finally get within 3-4 feet of him, he starts breathing his fire and I die in a wanna. Now, that just wasn't the case in all of the other plays. When I played it on the 360 back compat, when I played it on the Xbox One back compat version, the 360 version, and when I played it on my remastered Let's Play, that was not the case at all. And from what my son was saying, he seems to think that he still flies down on the Switch. So I don't know whether it's just this particular playthrough that's gone wonky, or whether it has actually been patched on the PlayStation. And, well, I'm playing it on the Xbox One X. So, yeah, it's been interesting to watch that. And actually, the footage that I've been showing is me... That's my remaster version of me playing it ages ago to show you guys how to get the claymore. As it happened, I got the claymore in... no, I'm trying to remember now. I had to die to get it anyway. And I think what happened was I ran to get it and he breathed his fire on the... As I ran up to get it, because it was so far up, he then breathed his fire and died, or something like that. But the only reason that it was there lying on the ground was because the very first time you walk in, he flies over the bridge breathing his fire and sits on the top. And that's the only time he ever did it. I think. No, that can't be right, because No, that isn't right. I'm telling you a complete lie, because, like, when I first walked onto that bridge... Every enemy that stands on it, of which there was about 10, was still there. So, actually, off the top of my head, I can't even remember how I managed to get it to drop. But it wasn't because the dragon jumped down, because he just wouldn't do it. So there you are. So anyway, in the end, I had to just sacrifice myself. And finally, I think I fought the enemies to the point where one of them dropped it, and I picked it up and died for whatever reason. I think it breathed its fire at that point or something. But yeah, I mean, for me, it's not a bad fix because it makes that bridge, it forces you down under the bridge, which is what the game was trying to do in the first place. But when the dragon jumps down onto the bridge, if you leg it, pick up the claymore and keep sprinting, you can make the top bonfire. But in this play, I can't do that. It just will not drop down. What I haven't tried doing is, because there's that thing where you get the Drake sword. If you've got a bow and arrow, you can actually stand underneath the bridge and shoot the dragon's tail from where he's perched. If you keep shooting the dragon's tail, every time you shoot it, it'll kind of fly down, spin around, come back, sit, perch again, shoot it again. You keep shooting it and keep shooting it and keep shooting it. Eventually, you just get a Drake sword, which is a seriously overpowered. I think it's a fiery type sword, but it's seriously overpowered, and it is a great sword. But the reason I prefer the claymore is because it's, well, not tied to fire for a start, and also its heavy move is a lunge forward move, like you're poking anything in front of you with it, whereas the heavy move on that and the Zweihander is swinging moves. And there's a lot of areas in Dark Souls that are tight corridors, very tight quarters, and the minute you start trying to swing, it's just banging off the walls. It makes for a really clumsy fighting mechanic. So the claymore's brilliant because you've got the swing on the standard move and the heavy move lunges forward. You can take 2 or 3 enemies out if they're right together with the claymore thrusting forward. It's a fantastic weapon. I mean, I can't believe, I must have played that game all the way to Anor Londo when I first played it on the 360 version on the Xbox One back compat, and I hadn't even noticed that there was a blacksmith. I was still playing with a bog standard sword. I hadn't upgraded anything because I didn't even know that the blacksmith existed. And it was all you guys that kind of pointed at me and said, "Hang on, you've not been to the blacksmith, or you've not, not that you need to do it, but my life would have been so much easier had I noticed he was there." Now it takes me, if I hadn't, the only reason it took me so long to get that far in this particular playthrough is because I kept cocking up stupid things. I fell off the underneath of the bridge trying to fight some guy that was on the ledge of it, and then I kept doing little things like that and losing the 5,000 souls that I had, so I kept going back for them, and it was only because I was rusty, but I didn't lose anything in the end. So, but I mean, you can literally get there within an hour and a bit, get all the way up to the blacksmith. It doesn't take that long. But as I say, when I first played it took me must have taken me days to get there. But yeah, it's amazing how the fear has gone from a lot of it. It's really the boss fights where you still get on edge with it because you know how to get your head around most of the enemies. But it's been really interesting going back to it. I really, really enjoyed it. I'm not sure. The more I played it, the more I thought, have I got it in me to do this all over again? And I'm not sure if the answer was yes, but I was enjoying it, and I'll probably sit down with it again. I am hoping at some point to get back and do a bit more of the Let's Play on the remaster. I think the reason people stopped watching it was because they saw me get so up to Anor Londo halfway through Anor Londo with the back compat one, and then I stopped because the remaster was coming out, and I thought, well, I'd rather do it all on the remaster. I think maybe in retrospect what I should have done was played it off camera to the point I was at on the Xbox One X back compat, and started it from there, and maybe it would have got a bit more attention. But, you don't want to see the same guy play the same stuff. Not really, but anyway. But there you are. I think that's all we had to talk about, people. I have managed to talk for, 35 minutes. What the shit? Have I covered everything about Dark Souls? Yes, I think we have. So there you are. I have every intention of doing a bit of... I'm still kind of not in the zone of doing Let's Play recording at the minute, so I look forward to doing these at the end of the week, having a little beer, chatting to you guys, and it's been nice getting the proper setup back in and putting my new intro on, and so I've looked forward to doing that, but every time I felt like recording, it's felt a bit like a job, so I'm kind of just sticking with this format at the minute. I hope you guys are happy with that. I will at some point get back to the Let's Playing, hopefully. At the moment, I'm just enjoying doing other other things and chilling and swimming and gymming and, you know, I'm kind of in a zone where I just want to be. It's probably the summer thing. It has been pissing it down for about for about 2 weeks now, but I think maybe it's just the time of year or something. But anyway, we'll get back to it at some point. As I say, I never created the channel to be a Let's Play channel. It just kind of ended up that way. And that's probably why I don't finish a lot of my Let's Plays, to be fair. But we'll get back there, people. I'm sure when Greedfall comes out, and and I will most likely get that, now that I'm pretty stoked about it. And now that Control's piqued my interest, I may well get a bit of that. But that would only be a few episodes, I think. But certainly Greedfall, I would be interested in putting certainly a set of 10 episodes up, at least to let you guys see what it's like. So there you are. Our RPG to look forward to, people, eh? What the... Awesome! Don't half get excited. I tell you, it's true, though, because there's literally nothing... I mean, it's like every RPG has been turned into an MMO, and I don't want to play MMOs. You know what I mean? It's like I want a contained game that is me playing a contained RPG game. I don't want to be playing an MMO. Let's leave it. There's a place for them, but everything seems to be heading that way because it's like, oh, yeah, but if we do it this way, people will keep buying stuff. It's like, oh, Jesus Christ. Look, make a good enough game and people will buy it. You don't have to have them purchasing stuff every other day because, I mean, like Path of Exile's free to play. Fine, I get it, I do. But there were certain things I was buying. I thought this should be there. You know what I mean? Like £3.99 for a tab that actually sorts shit out in the right bloody order so that that game's tabs are a nightmare anyway. But, but they know that that's the one tab that people are going to want. So, fair play to them, I suppose, if it's free to play. I don't know if that game has always been free to play because it stemmed over from PC. Maybe it was, a lot of games become free to play after a certain length of time and then they try and make money off the purchases and stuff. But, I don't know, people. Is it that I'm getting old? Flagons up to you all. I hope you all have an amazing Friday and weekend. Let me know in the comments below about any of the things I've talked about today. Let me know in the comments below if you wonder why I'm not talking about something else that you know about and I don't. Just like Greedfall, in fact. It has been an honour and a privilege serving for you once again in this vlog of mine, and I shall see you all next time, folks. Take it easy. Bye.